most of us, we have not grown in the things of God. We love to complain. We love to see problems and we build our principles from problems. No. When God shows you a problem in the church, it is time for you to begin to understand that here I can sow a seed and my life will never be the same. I had the privilege to be in one church in Lusaka, and they were trying to see how they were going to bring all the people to this place of worship. The pastor there is quite a powerful man of God, and everyone was interested. The church was right in town, but there were people that were willing to attend this church as far as Mungule. How were they going to come to this church? And so the pastor said, we will need to buy some buses so that we can go and pick people and they can come to this church. He says, we need to buy a bus, and then we are going to ask, members to contribute. One man who understood, and I remember that man was from Congo. He says, man of God, may I interject you? We don't need all of us to contribute. There are only a few people that need to contribute, that understand the service seed that we are going to plant for this church to grow. And he says, every city has 4 directions. There's the east, the west, the south, the north. So I'm challenging, only 4 people need to buy those buses. The pastor says, no, wait a minute. You don't know the bus I'm talking about. It's quite expensive. One bus is about $12,000. He says, yes. He says, no, you don't understand. Where are we going to get $12,000 from one man? He says, that's why it is called a seed. Because when somebody releases a seed, he will not get the same $12,000. He's going to get more than 12,000. Remember, you plant one seed of maize. What do you get? You get more than 1,000 grains of the same maize on one cob. He says, so don't look at the figure, look at the power of the seed. I know there are 4 people in this church who have the seed, which is 12,000. But when God gives you, it will not be 12,000. It might be $100,000. The pastor said, well, I think you understand the power of seed more than me. Can you do the promotion? And this man in broken English, the French English, he says, I am the first one. I'm going to give $12,000. Pastor, does that mean that the 12 is for clearing and buying? He says, everything I have done the research. So when you pay 12,000, the vehicle will come up to here. That includes the clearing, the shipping and the buying from there. He says, I'm the first one. I'm going to give 12,000. And because I've been doing this, even for me to come to Zambia, Pastor, I was running away from war. I was up there in Goma, and I needed to take my family out. It is the seed that I planted there that made me to come here and have this job as a doctor. And here I am. I have, property in Lusaka. I have property in Ndola. Why? Because of the seed I planted in Goma. He says at that particular time, as the war was raging, people needed to flee. And he had about 500 children that were stranded. They had no parents. And this man, he says, had $60,000. And one man in that city who had a plane says, I can pick these children and fly them out to a safer place. But listen, I don't have money. If we can work together, you buy the fuel, we clear this, we'll pick these children and fly them to a safer place. He says, I let go of my 60,000, and all those children were airlifted in a private jet. And he says, from there, I had no money. And God began to direct him on how he was going to escape. He says, my wife was so worried. He says, look, you had money to flee us. But listen, you have given money and we don't even have a car. And he says, how we found ourselves in Zambia is the power of the seed. So I don't have problems to give $12,000. And he says, as I'm doing this, I'm not going to write a check. I'm going to give you $12,000 cash. And because I was praying in the morning, God showed me what we are going to do. And I came with $20,000. And I'm just going to remove 12,000. And he tells the wife, count the 12,000 and give it to the pastor. Next, who knows the power of seed? Another man stood. He says, before the service ends, I'm going to give the 12,000. To cut the long story short, there were 4 men that gave 12,000, not pledging, giving. And at the end of the day, the pastor had $48,000. Monday, the vehicles were purchased. Within 21 days, the vehicles were delivered. But what is interesting, how these men's lives began to change. When you come to church, I want you to begin to understand that there is a service that you come to do in the house of God. Open your eyes. I've always said that there's no spectator in this church. All of us, we come to do a particular service to God. So there's a service seed that we give to church.